The content in this magazine could contain references of topics and difficult subject matter that may be triggering. Please honor yourself, inner knowing, and proceed with whatever help or guidance you feel is intuitively aligned. Welcome to Sovereign Magazine Podcast. I'm Nicole George, CEO and founder of Sovereign. I'm so happy you are here. We are the magazine podcast and community guiding 5 million women to their sovereign selves. From heart-led conversations to magical meditations, our inspiring guests will show you how they can help you step into your sovereign self. Are you ready to listen to your inner voice and step into your power? Then keep listening to hear all of the intuitive messages meant for you today. Hello! Today I have the privilege of reconnecting with Chris Melville, our personal empowerment coach here at Sovereign. Alongside her transformative coaching sessions and workshops for Sovereign, Chris also runs a thriving coaching practice and is a certified rapid transformational therapy practitioner. With over 30 years of corporate experience, she's extremely passionate about empowering women to overcome mindset challenges and build thriving businesses. As a true expert in personal empowerment, Chris helps others step boldly into their power. Welcome back, Chris.
Hello, Nicole, and hello to our lovely audience. It's so nice to be back.
Yay! And today we're talking about the fear of criticism, which is our July new moon issue.
God, this one hits hard.
It does. It does. We all struggle with criticism, don't we? In your article, How Criticism Can Make You a Better Leader, you talk about how criticism, which used to feel like a personal attack, and I can identify with that too, has actually become an amazing tool for growth and leadership for you in your business. And you share your personal journey from, dreading job reviews and feeling unworthy to embracing the criticism as a mirror and an opportunity to understand yourself and improve. And what really stood out for me was your 5-step approach: notice, pause, analyze, heal, and act, as a way to transform that feedback and bring it into a way to empower you rather than be a source of self-doubt. So for those who actually haven't had the opportunity to read your article yet, let's go into this. Let's go into criticism and how it is a mirror for us, Chris.
Yeah, criticism is a nightmare. Nobody likes to be criticized. Let's face it. There's nobody out there going, oh, come at me, roast me, baby, give me your best shot. Criticism it's really difficult to take it and separate it from who you are as a person, to separate it from your identity. But there are times when you have to have feedback. And we have to be able to recognize that feedback is an opportunity for growth, where criticism is quite often, there's some friction between me and whoever's given me some criticism. Quite often when somebody criticizes us, it can be because they're seeing something in us that they don't like in themselves. It could be because they've had a really bad day and they're fed up and you've just come in at the wrong time. It could be because maybe there's been some friction in a friendship or relationship and it's been growing for a little while and they don't know how to address it with you. And therefore, it becomes passive aggressive as a way of trying to trigger you into coming back so they can start a fight, because that's the only way they know to communicate. Feedback is something that people give us with respect in order to allow us to grow. And you cannot lead your business, you can't be a leader for your clients without accepting feedback. And that doesn't mean that the feedback is always going to be valid to your experience of the situation, but you have to be able to open your ears and hear what the other person's saying.
And I think that's where most of my problem has always been, right? If we think about it, sometimes we just think we're right. And we don't want to think about the feedback or criticism because that would make us quote unquote wrong in some way or that we didn't do something right. So, where can we kind of take this feedback, if you will, and actively seek it as a time in our lives where we can maybe reframe it and say, okay, well, what are they really trying to say? So, whenever I receive feedback now versus when I was in corporate, I'm like, ooh, this is really great. This is a sign for me to look at something. I don't take it as a negative thing anymore. I'm like, what are they trying to tell me? I need to look at this deeper. It doesn't mean I have to accept every single word that they have said. It means that I need to look at something. So, where do I need to go deeper? So, what do you think about that concept?
I think the first thing to understand, and I remember having a fight with my ex-husband one time, and he was like, "You just don't understand da, 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 da," about something to do with the way that I behaved, or how my behavior was annoying him. And I was like, why would I? Why? How often do you look at yourself and think, oh, I'm doing this wrong, or I'm not getting this right? It takes a lot of self-awareness to be able to look at ourselves on a regular basis and go, oh, that's not right. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Or, I could have said that in a better way. I could have behaved in a better way that would have been more understanding and supportive of somebody in my life. So that's perfectly normal. We don't. We spend more time looking at other people's behavior and how it affects us because that's just the way we're built as a human. It's a little bit of selfishness, but it's selfishness that comes from like our brain's desire to keep us alive more than, oh, I'm perfect and everybody has to bow down before me and do everything the way I tell them to. So first of all, accept that. Yeah. I know that I will look at things from my perspective. So I'm always going to not necessarily think I'm always right, but I won't be paying too much attention to how the other person is receiving something or seeing it. So you have to be able to shift the focus around. And feedback comes best. I mean, if we're talking about feedback from a business perspective, my clients, if I'm working with them for 6 months, we have a 3-month check-in. They just get a questionnaire, how's everything going? What could I do better? Nothing contentious. It's just making sure that we're working in a way that allows my clients to get the best results. That's what I want for them. That's what they're paying me for. So maybe something in the way that I'm coaching them or teaching them something, it doesn't work with the way they learn. So they tell me that I can adapt my delivery to them and make it a better experience. Why would I not want to do that? That's not personal. It's nothing to do with me. It's not a fault. It's not a flaw. It's a way to communicate better with somebody.
Mm. Two things came up for me.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, you said self awareness, and self awareness is such a topic that my husband and I talk about often that a lot of people don't have the skills for. And that's something that we need to shed some light on, if you will, because I'll just give you like a random example from his work. Somebody calls in sick frequently, and then they actually have like an ill family member, and then they don't understand why they're getting reprimanded. Well, the self awareness is around the fact that you called out like every Saturday for the last 4 weeks for no apparent reason. I mean, they had a reason, obviously, but now that it's a really ill family member, you're wondering why you're getting reprimanded. Okay, well, where's the self awareness around all of the other things, right? But the other part that I think comes to fruition for me, and I was just like, oh, this aha moment when you were talking, is I feared criticism because I feared being misunderstood or mischaracterized. And that to me is so incredibly self aware in this moment that that was part of the reason I didn't want to get those performance reviews because I had such a high expectation of myself. So if I wasn't meeting that in their eyes, I felt misunderstood, right? Or mischaracterized. And so I just wonder how you feel about that.
Yeah. So I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Okay. When you were a child, who taught you how to be honest?
Ooh, I had a really tough childhood. So, for anyone who doesn't know, my biological mother was a drug addict and alcoholic, left when I was 6 months old, and left my dad to be a single dad. He essentially ended up remarrying. And so I had a stepmom. So, if I had to define my core values, I always define them with my biological father, although all three of those people influenced me in some way. So I'm not really sure.
Okay. So, if you were to ask me that question, I would say it was my grandmother. My grandmother taught me to be honest. If you would ask me who taught you how to be kind, I would also say my grandmother and probably my grandfather as well. If you were to ask me who taught you how to be self-aware,
Mm, none of them.
mm,
None of them.
nobody teaches us.
Yeah. I learned it all in my 40s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
And
and
why
then
did you learn it?
out of desperation to know myself, which I call my midlife crisis.
Yeah.
Personally, I didn't go out and buy anything. I just wanted to do the inner work and find who I truly was, because who I was defined was by my parent. Make more money, go to school, make more money. That was basically what I was taught. Um, I mean, definitely honesty and trustworthiness in a business was defined by my father. He owned a very, very successful business in the Bay Area and was very well known for his practices and all of that. So I do get my integrity in my business from him. Let's do our criticism check in. So, our Steps to Our Sovereign Self is our new segment. And Chris and I are going to try something every time she comes on. Whatever the topic is, we're going to go into some sort of truth check in. And I'm not sure if you want to go back to that 5-step approach that I had mentioned earlier. So, notice, pause, analyze, heal, and act as a way of transforming feedback into a pathway towards empowerment. That could be one tool you could use, or if you have something else on your mind, you could share it with our listeners as well.
Now let's go through that. Let's make up a scenario. Let's say, we know friendships between women can be tricky, right? So let's say you've been going through a really busy period in your life, and one of your friends, maybe they're a little bit on the high maintenance side, they come to you and they're like, you know what? I'm not sure this friendship is working for me anymore because I don't feel like you're taking an interest in me. I don't feel like you're being a very good friend to me. I think most of us, an awful lot of us out there would have been in that position before where a friend, maybe they picked a fight with you because they don't feel like you're paying attention to them, whatever it is they've done to get your attention. So if you take a moment to do the notice, acknowledge how it makes you feel. Does it make you feel defensive? Because quite often our first reaction is defensiveness because we don't want to turn that mirror on ourselves. So defensiveness is natural. Maybe it might make you feel relieved. Yeah, actually, there's been a problem here, and maybe I've distanced myself a little bit from you because you've done something recently that's upset me, and I didn't bring it up and talk to you. Yeah. Or maybe they're like, oh, you're just selfish. All you ever think about is yourself. And you're like, ooh, that does hit a little bit home. I've had a lot going on in my life. I haven't been paying as much attention to my friends because, frankly, what I'm trying to do here is survive. But I have thought in the past, oh, I know this person's going through a really hard time. I should be more supportive. And then I forget to check in because my life takes over. So you feel guilty about it. And you're like, yeah, that's true. That's honest. But it's hard to say that, right? So if we take that moment to check in, it helps us understand and get really self-aware of how we feel about that relationship, about that friendship, or about how we're behaving in that friendship. So because defensiveness is the first reaction that most of us will normally have, that's why you really have to pause. Yeah. Because our first reaction is like, you don't know what you're talking about. And I feel like you've not been a good friend to me and you never check in. And then it escalates and it turns into a fight, doesn't it? Right? So we have to be able to pause to give ourselves that chance to get the defensiveness away to kind of analyze how we feel about it and to bring our natural default emotion under control so we don't antagonize the situation, right? And then we can analyze it by thinking, okay, this is why this is how it's making me feel, but why is it making me feel this way? How can I become a better friend to this person? Yeah. I've known this person for 20 years. I know that they need me to call them once a week, where I like to send text messages, but if I do that, they feel like I'm not listening to, paying attention to them, right? So I have to make a little bit more of an effort to call them more often instead of just sending a quick text. And then you can heal it, because sometimes what they've said, if it hits you in a way that is very extreme, it's a sign that this is probably some kind of a trauma that you're carrying from your past, and you need to heal it. Yeah. Oh, that makes me feel really, really vulnerable. That hurts me, because I've been in a similar situation in the past where I felt like somebody was not a good friend to me, and we ended up losing the relationship because I couldn't speak out to them. Right? So where is that vulnerability coming from? There'll be a limiting belief there. How can I address this limiting belief? How can I look at it and say, oh, that belief is from 20 years ago. I can let that go. It doesn't serve me anymore. I can grow and become a better person because of this. Or let's not say better, a more wholehearted person. And then act. There's no use in having knowledge and awareness if you're not taking action. What can I do? If this is valid and I value this relationship and I want to make it better and I want to get back on track, what are the actions I need to take, that weekly phone call, in order to make my friends feel secure in our relationship?
I love this. Thank you so much for providing us with a 5-step fear of criticism check-in approach so that everybody can do this and become more self-aware and not afraid of feedback or criticism. So for anyone who wants to connect with Chris and share with us if you were able to do this 5-step approach, connect with us in our community.sovereign-magazine.com. All of Chris's socials are in the show notes. We will be back for more next month, and let us know if you're enjoying these check-in approaches, and we'll keep doing them. Sending you so much love, and see you on the next show.
See you guys later.
Thanks for listening. I'll be back tomorrow with another soul-led entrepreneur here to help you step into your sovereign self. Subscribe to our magazine and podcast and join our global community for all the magic. Details to connect with today's guest or join the movement are in the show notes. And if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review. It helps us reach our goal of guiding 5 million women to self-sovereignty.